Chapter 4, Ben Feldman. One of my favorite quotes from Ben Feldman is, "Only a fool learns from his own experience. The wise man learns from the experiences of others." That quote is one of the bases for this book. Ben Feldman is remembered by many as the greatest life insurance salesperson ever. Feldman started his insurance career in 1938, making $35 a week as a debit agent, which meant he literally went door to door selling and collecting premiums. By 1941, he was the top agent with his company, earning $105 a week. He was selling $500 life policies, and that was the death benefit. Feldman said that with a debit, the agent spends most of his or her time collecting, and then only if the agent has time left over does he actually sell life insurance. He hated the collecting and loved the selling. Feldman joined New York Life in 1942. The first year, he placed 168 policies with a total death benefit of approximately $252,000. In 1944, he doubled his production and placed 500,000. Feldman first qualified for MDRT in 1945 with 1.1 million. In 1956, he did 10 million in life sales. With that, he was the first person to ever sell $10 million of life insurance in a single year. In 1960, he reached 20 million. In 1966, 50 million. In 1969, he wrote $100 million and surpassed that benchmark regularly until his death in 1993. For perspective, consider that $100 million in 1969 is approximately $680 million in 2014 dollars, and 80% of his production was whole life sales. When Feldman was introduced at the MDRT meeting in 1981, there were still approximately 1,800 life insurance companies. It was estimated that he personally had more life insurance in force than 2/3 of those companies. Feldman accomplished all this from East Liverpool, Ohio. He did business in East Liverpool, a town with a population of around 20,000. And then in Youngstown, a town with a population of about 175,000, about 40 minutes from East Liverpool. He knew every business owner in the area. And here's a fact I love. His total volume exceeded $1.8 billion, and he generated 1/3 of that total after he was 65 years old. In 1992, New York Life celebrated Feldman's 50th anniversary by promoting a sales contest during Feldman's February. Guess who won? 80-year-old Ben Feldman. I recommend the audio of An Afternoon with Ben Feldman, which is available from MDRT. I have shared this audio with a number of younger people in the life insurance business, and they always seem to find it of value. Seth Groff, a Surety's life product manager, listened to it on a drive from Nebraska to Colorado. During the trip, he kept stopping to text me to let me know how much he loved Feldman's great ideas. Feldman wrote 2 books, Creative Selling for the 70s and Creative Selling for the 1990s. Both books are out of print, but I was able to find used copies on Amazon.com. Another book that's related that I would also recommend is The Feldman Method by Andrew Thompson. Thompson was Feldman's manager with New York Life. Feldman was a person who measured success not by material standards, but by his influence on others. Most specifically, his influence for good, and not just among his peers in the life insurance business, but also among the people that his peers served. Sales principle number 1, making calls. At the 1981 MDRT meeting, Feldman told his audience, there is no easy way to sell life insurance, but the key to making sales is simple. Just make calls. Nothing happens until you make a call. Feldman talked about the importance of momentum. For example, it's Monday. You make some calls and nothing happens. It's a lousy day. Same thing happens on Tuesday. You keep making calls, and by the end of the week, you may have one sale and maybe a couple callbacks. You do it again the second and third weeks. In spite of people saying no, you keep at it. What you're doing is building momentum. If you keep making the calls, you will start to make sales. What you can't let happen after you start hearing people say no is to start making excuses and quit making calls. Everything stops when you stop making calls. Just make the calls and the sales will follow. Sales principle number 2, packages. For many years, I didn't realize that one of Feldman's keys to success was his ability to transform ideas and to package those ideas. Until I started researching his approach for this book, I never realized the importance of packages in his success. Likewise, over the years, I believe many producers have been so focused on how much life insurance Feldman sold and to whom he sold that they missed the importance of packages in his success. Feldman designed these packages to solve specific problems. Most often, these packages solve the prospect's fundamental need for cash. The packages were always about what the product could do, not what it is. He designed them to help take an idea that could be difficult to understand, then simplify the concept so that almost anyone could understand it. In short, a Feldman package painted a picture identifying the problem and the solution without all the technical jargon. For Feldman, the key to packaging an idea was to make it simple, and the simpler the better. Each package solved the problem. All of his packages were blocks of whole life designed to solve specific problems for the prospect. One package might be an educational package. Do you want to be sure your daughter goes to college? May I show you this idea? Or he might present a retirement package. How would you like to retire with a guaranteed income for the rest of your life? Feldman sometimes used a grandparents package, which was designed to take advantage of gifting. He had various packages like discount your tax package and a package designed for partners called a seesaw plan. If one partner gets off, the other falls off without life insurance protection, which was simply life insurance to fund a buy-sell agreement. Each package points out the prospect's need for life insurance in such a way that the prospect has to do something about it. Some of Feldman's ideas for packages came from articles in magazines, others came from talking with people, and others came from life insurance industry meetings. Feldman would test the package concepts on his wife, children, and the people in his office. His son Marvin told me that he and his brother Richard knew a lot about life insurance before they graduated from high school, from their dad testing the packages. Ben Feldman wanted his packages to be understood by a high school student. If the package was simple enough for a high school student to understand, then a business owner should understand. My question for you: would a high school student understand your presentation? Marv told me that when his father finalized the package, he would have his secretary type it up on 3x5 cards. He would post it on the corkboard in his office and start making calls. After putting together a new package, Feldman would make up a list of names and then start making those calls. The new package would excite him, and when the package got old, he would work on a new one. Another key to his packages was they had to prove that the prospect not solving the particular problem, that there was a price tag on it, and it would cost more to do nothing than to do something about it. Thinking about Feldman's packages was an eye-opener for me. As many times as I've listened to him, it never hit me until recently what a package can do. We all pick up ideas and concepts that work successfully. Then over time, we stop using them. I've heard so many agents through the years tell me about a sales concept or an idea that works so well, and then they stop using it. What happens in situations like that? We get bored. There's an insight we can gain from Feldman when that happens. What do? We create a new package. Keep your presentations simple, not only for the prospect's benefit, but for yours. If your presentation is simple, you'll be able to present it more effectively because you'll understand it inside and out. Every person has a problem that only life insurance can solve. For the typical young man, the problem is to create cash. For the older person, the problem is usually to conserve cash. There are many variations on these problems. There are many ways to create plans to solve the problems as well. For you, the challenge is to generate ideas of packages that you can develop. Sales principle number 3, don't sell life insurance. Feldman believed that he didn't sell life insurance. He sold what life insurance does. In 2015, people in the U.S. bought 20 million quarter-inch drill bits, but not a single person wanted a drill bit. What the buyer really wanted were quarter-inch holes. They had to buy the drill bit to get the hole. The problem was they needed a hole. The solution was buying a drill bit to make the hole. One of the most important lessons I have learned from Feldman is that it's not about the product. It's about what the product does. But what do most people and companies in the life insurance sell? They sell the drill bits. Most industry training is focused on product. There is very little discussion about what the product does. As a result, what do agents sell? The product. Feldman never sold life insurance. Instead, he helped the prospect see they have a problem, and life insurance was the solution. My question is, are you focused on product or on the solutions to your prospect's problems? Sales principle number 4, simple concepts. For me, listening to Ben Feldman explain the concept of life insurance is like listening to music that you love. Here's how he described it. When someone buys a life insurance policy, we put the face amount in escrow. That amount wasn't accumulated. It was created for the policyholder. You know, most people create their money by accumulation, accumulating it slowly, painfully over the years. But our job is not accumulate, but create. What do we create? Dollars that underwrite time. The basic purpose of life insurance is to create cash. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything else confuses the issue. Your job as a life insurance agent is to do what no one else can do. Do you know anyone else who can create money? Feldman carried a $1,000 bill in his case. He would open it up and the prospect would say, "What is it?" Feldman would say, "That's what I sell. How many do you want?" One time at a seminar, Feldman was asked, "What do you say when the prospect tells you they intend to buy term and invest the difference?" Feldman responded, "Term insurance is temporary insurance, but the problem is permanent." Ask yourself, how would you respond to that question? Notice Feldman offered no long dissertation, but a simple, confident response that comes from understanding, preparation, and study. Sales principle 5, discounted dollars. Ben would tell the prospects, "Give me 2 cents and I'll give you $1. I'll put the dollar in escrow, I'll write your name on it, and I'll keep it in escrow for a year. If anything happens to you, we'll trade. I'll keep the 2 cents, you get the $1. At the end of the year, if nothing happens to you, I'll repeat the offer. $1 for another 2 cents. And I'll repeat the offer year after year. At 2 cents a year, it takes a long time to pay dollar for dollar, doesn't it? Know what kind of dollars the life insurance purchaser is buying? They are buying discounted dollars. 2 cents is the premium. And when are those discounted dollars delivered? Exactly when the buyer needs them. When time has run out, when there's no more time to complete the buyer's plan. And those discounted dollars are tax-free. You're selling a contract that guarantees the delivery of tax-free dollars at a discount. Sales principle 6, cash value life insurance. Feldman would emphasize that saving money requires a system. A person has to build systems into a savings plan or there won't be any savings. Statistics show that people save money for a little while. The average length of savings will last about 3 years. Then the average person takes it out, spends it, and it's gone. And the average person starts over, and the same thing happens again. A week is gone, a year is gone, now the person's 40 or 45. Now he or she's 50, and then he or she is 60. Far too often, the person grows old and never saves any money. And this isn't because the person didn't make money. It's because the person didn't save it systematically. The premium statement that the life insurance company sends the client can create that system. The client sends in a few $100s a month, and soon they've accumulated some money. I know of people who don't know how much equity they have in their life insurance. They never pay any attention to it. Point out how the cash value life insurance can help people accumulate cash. It's there if the client needs it. Face values in escrow, and the cash value is there today. What you are doing by selling whole life is helping a lot of people help themselves. Sales principle number 7, put premiums into perspective. Feldman always believed that paying premium isn't the problem. Paying is the solution. Think about that statement. That's another one that can completely change your attitude and perspective. You have to help prospects find the money. If you pinpointed a problem, identified the solution, and the prospect is sold in principle, there is no sale until the prospect pays the money for the premium. Our job as agents is to help the prospect find the money. The prospect doesn't need more money. The money's already there. Your job is to work through the prospect's priorities with the prospect in order to find the money. You have to help the prospect put the premiums into perspective. For example, Feldman would explain to a physician that the cost of the physician's retirement plan was 1 patient visit per day. I once met an agent who worked with donut store franchisees. He would explain to the owners that the cost of his program was 5 minutes of sales between 7 and 7:05 every morning. If someone asks me how much a critical illness plan costs, my response is always about a cup of coffee a day. For a younger person, it's a convenience store cup of coffee. For someone who's my age that uses tobacco, it's a giant Frappuccino at Starbucks. If you've worked with me, you know that any illustration I've worked with breaks the premium down on a daily cost basis, which is the reason I like using a cup of coffee, snacks, or pop, or whatever the prospect can relate to. If you ask early in the interview, what do you spend on snacks or coffee each day? The prospect's response will help put the premiums in perspective. By doing so, you minimize the cost in the mind of the prospect. For example, if the prospect states that they spend $5 a day on coffee and the daily cost of the insurance plan is $4.50, you respond that the cost is less than you're spending on coffee, and you're not going to have to change your lifestyle as a result. Sales principle number 8, sell yourself. Throughout Feldman's career, he continued to buy more life insurance on himself. And when he presented to the MDRT meeting in 1981, he owned $6 million of participating whole life and was paying $7,500 a week in premiums. If you own $200,000 in life insurance and the client has $100,000, you won't be afraid of the prospect. If you know the prospect needs more, you won't care if the prospect can or can't afford it. You own $200,000 and move up to $300,000. You start thinking a little bigger in terms of what you suggest to prospects. There is no greater proof of belief in the product than to purchase it in large quantities. Feldman frequently displayed his own program as an illustration. If you do the same, this will show the prospect you own the product, and that will increase the prospect's confidence in the life insurance and also in you as the agent. If you believe that what you're doing is helping people help themselves, purchasing the policy on yourself reinforces that attitude. In your own mind, you have to buy it, and then you'll be able to sell it. But if you don't buy it first, you will never sell it. Sales principle number 9, attitude. Feldman believed your biggest asset is a positive attitude. If you decide that you're going to feel wonderful, strong, and excited, then you have the power to move mountains. You can begin to get this feeling when you become convinced that through life insurance, you can help another human being. Feldman said the most important person to disturb and get steamed up is yourself. Prospects know from the way you sit, the way you look at them, and in particular, the way you say something, that you are certain about the advice that you're giving. After all, what is enthusiasm except excitement in your voice? Feldman would say, it's not what you say, but how you say it. Speak slowly, clearly, softly, but definitely, and enthusiasm and sincerity will carry over. Sales principle number 10, ask disturbing questions. For Feldman, disturbing questions were a powerful sales tool. Here's some examples of Feldman's questions. What would you say if I told you I want 30% of everything you have in this world and I want it now in cash? That question forces the prospect to face the fact that taxes will hit the estate once he or she is dead. Do you want your little boy to go to school? It isn't the policy that costs money, it's the education that costs money. May I talk to you about doing something about it? Which is cheaper, paying for your children's education in 4 years or in 18 years? You have 18 years to pay for his education if you begin now. You can't begin now? Then you'll have to pay it all at once. Could you right now pay for the first year of college? How much is your life worth? People never die at the right time. What makes you think it'll be different for you? Disturbing questions are designed to cause the prospect to think and to bring emotion into the sales process. Sales principle number 11, preparation. Even when selling $100 million of life insurance, Feldman still spent 2 hours each night studying and preparing for the following day. It's important that you read and stay up on what's happening. It's important that you know what you're talking about. You need to make life insurance simple and stay away from things that confuse people. Here's Feldman's advice on that. Spend more time in preparation than in presentation, and never make a call until you're prepared. Feldman's study and preparation enabled him to make each sales call with confidence. He would prioritize the most important things to be done for the next day. He would plan sales calls, service calls, and office work. Feldman's object in planning was to do what he knows he should do and avoid doing what he knows he shouldn't do. That was his definition of self-discipline. Sales principle 12, focus. An important characteristic that I somehow miss throughout the years as I've listened to Feldman was his exceptional focus. Feldman focused primarily on one market, privately held businesses that had issues with estate planning and business continuation. I'm particularly impressed with the importance of his packages and the way they bring focus and confidence to targeting a specific market. Feldman was once asked at an MDRT meeting, since you're working the business market, do you do pension plans, sick pay plans, or disability insurance? Feldman's answer was no. He believed that people should be knowledgeable and know what they're doing. He told his audience that he was going to continue to spend his time creating packages that create bundles of money to continue businesses. Sales principle 13, power phrases. Feldman believed that power phrases made a big difference in making a sale, and he developed and used some of the most amazing power phrases. Here are a few examples. You'll have the same problems when I walk out as you had when I walked in, unless you let me take your problems with me. If you can't put away 3% of the amount now, where would 100% come from later? Buy a little less, but begin now. How much is your life worth? And in the follow-up, how much did you insure it for? I sell discounted dollars. May I show you? Many people buy not because they believe, but because the salesperson believes. Doing nothing doesn't solve your problem. It only postpones it. You have a right to postpone it, but if you postpone solving your problem, you know who will solve it? Your spouse. Ben Feldman is considered by many to be the greatest life insurance salesperson who ever lived, and for good reason. And fortunately for us, he was willing to share with other agents the foundational principles of his sales success. For you looking to find your personal best, it might be wise to integrate some of these principles that Ben Feldman used to become the best of the best.